Actually, Naruto continued, if you had to do a smart thing, it would be running away, he said, sounding confident. The intent did not seem to be affecting him one bit. Because I will kick your ass, Naruto said as Orochimaru laughed again, even louder than last time. A dead last kicking me, hey that will be the day, Orochimaru said to Naruto as he began dissolving into the ground. Where did he go? Naruto asked Sasuke, who shrugged. Right here, Orochimaru said as he emerged from the ground, with a grasp on Naruto's foot, before turning into snakes and completely engulfing Naruto. Sasuke let out a small gasp of alarm. He couldn't believe what had happened, however just then something else happened. Naruto exploded and vaporized the snakes that had engulfed him. Exploding clones, Sasuke thought. Only one person used this technique. How could Naruto know? How does he know Itachi's techniques? Orochimaru had the same exact though. This was not possible, this was not happening, not to him. There was no way a loser like Naruto had learned all this. This blonde brat suddenly resembled Jiraiya more than ever, and for once, Orochimaru was scared, not of Naruto but because of the potential that he had. A stupid exploding clone technique. He asked Naruto in a mocking tone, nothing special kid. They had been battling in a clearing and on trees. However, Orochimaru was now on the ground, looking up at Naruto. Sakura was knocked out, however during Naruto's entrance a clone had carried her to safety and brought her towards Naruto's side. She was just beginning to come to. So, an explosion is nothing impressive, huh? Naruto asked Orochimaru, who grinned. You don't like the ground exploding? He asked Orochimaru, who shook his head in a negative. Okay, Naruto said in a mock disappointing tone. Then how about an implosion? He asked Orochimaru, who looked puzzled at that, before realizing too late what Naruto meant. Boom, Naruto said as explosions began sounding, all of them coming from underground, in the area Orochimaru was standing, and suddenly, just like that, the ground gave way as explosions reached the surface from the underground and Orochimaru could not dodge in time. He fell inside the crack that had been opened up. A timely Kawarimi had saved him as he replaced himself with a log, before reappearing on a tree. There was a single sweat drop on his cheek. He was not liking this confrontation one bit. A simple substitution, how useful, Orochimaru remarked dryly as he sized Naruto up. The sword looked awfully familiar to him, but he could not place it. He couldn't make out where he had seen something like that. Yes, Naruto smiled. Well, sorry, he said, feeling a bit guilty. Orochimaru laughed. Ku, Naruto-kun, I will admit, you almost got me there, outsmarting someone like me. Nothing to feel sorry about. Actually, it's one thing you'll be proud of having done, almost outsmarting me in your short little life, he said to Naruto, who grinned. Actually, I was apologizing to the tree you were standing on, because it's gonna give its life, to end your own long and miserable existence, he said as the tree exploded. Drat, this kid is like that bomber kid, why does everything have to explode? Orochimaru thought, feeling really frustrated. This was a second close call, he couldn't believe there were that many. Another explosion, Orochimaru asked Naruto, will this be followed by another implosion? What are you gonna do, sink the ground again? Go ahead, this time, I'm on a tree, he said to Naruto, confident that the kid would get angrier. Nah, Naruto said playfully, sorry tree, it's just another explosion, he said as the tree the snake man was standing on blew up. How many explosions? The snake voice called out. He was on the ground now, it was him getting angrier. Actually, a 100, he said to Orochimaru, before the ground around him collapsed. The whole area was shattered by explosions, as a bird appeared out of nowhere. It was huge. Orochimaru was too busy dodging the explosions to notice the bird swooping away and taking Sasuke and Sakura in its talons. It was like an eagle, only very big. The explosions lasted for 5 minutes. Orochimaru was sure to die, or at least get injured in this melee of explosions.
XL. Boom.
What was that? Shikamaru thought. His teammates stared in the area of the explosion. There had been plenty of those. What was going on? What's going on? Kiba said to Shino as the sound of explosions was heard everywhere. Shino, we have to check this out, he said to Shino, who nodded. Hinata sighed. They had recovered the Earth Scroll, so it wouldn't harm to check it out, but she had a bad feeling about this.
Eh.
That's Uzumaki. Those many explosions, something he would have done. Let's go to Mari, Konkuro. Okay, that was either a lot of explosions, or one huge one. We have to check it out. Come on Lee, Tenten. Okay, what the fuck was that? I have to check it out. Ibiki, inform the Hokage that Anko Mitarashi has gone to investigate the explosions. I have a bad feeling about this. The whole area around him was a mess. It was all burning trees. Naruto hoped that the explosion would serve as a signal. Like it or not, he could not afford for Orochimaru to get serious. He himself had managed to survive by replacing himself with clones he had placed strategically. It was all thought out. He had some time to think while Sasuke kept Orochimaru distracted. Give or take, he had taken out about 1,000 meters of land in explosions. He hoped there was no one around. It had also taken a lot out of him, those many clones and exploding tags, plus the underground implosion. Where is Sasuke Uchiha? Orochimaru screamed, enraged. This kid was schooling him. Naruto looked up. The bird was now a speck, up in the sky, making circles, far away for Orochimaru to come and get him. He had secured Sasuke, just like the person had asked him to.
Flashback.
That was a great battle. That snake posed a challenge. It was fast, but it also seemed like it was Manda's minion. You have to be careful boy, only one person can summon such creatures as far as I know, the sword whispered to him. Naruto nodded. Naruto-kun, a voice called out. Naruto turned and faced the person in front of him. He resembled Sasuke, but looked more grown up, and dare he say, even more of a lady killer than Sasuke himself. He also had a fancy pattern Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. This was not good. This was a person who had wiped out an entire clan. Was it his snake? Actually, he said to Naruto, we are on the same side, believe it or not, he said calmly to Naruto, who couldn't help but grin. Now I've seen everything, he said to Itachi, how the hell can I trust you? Ask your tenant, ask him if he can sense anything negative about me, Itachi said to Naruto, and Naruto had to admit, he was not getting negative vibes. This power of sensing negative emotions was actually turning out to be pretty useful. He could channel Kurama's chakra to sense negative emotions. Kurama had told him that over time, this will be natural for him. But, you killed your own clan, mentally scarred your own brother, you have any explanation for that? Naruto asked Itachi, who smiled. There's two sides to every Ryo, you'll find out. With my brother, at this moment, his life is at risk. In that fight with the giant snake, that was impressive by the way, I think you didn't notice but a clone of yours had gone out. I did however, as one of my clones had seen it, and dispersed to tell me, it's really complicated, he said to Itachi. Well, fuck, he said to Itachi, who smiled. Again, wasn't Itachi supposed to be this smiling dude? This was unsettling. What was happening? It's Orochimaru, the snake nin. He wants my brother's body. He'll tempt him with power. I need you to do something that will keep him at bay. Then, take Sasuke to safety, and if it gets bad, I'll take over. Also, I need you to alarm the authorities. This needs to be taken care of, swiftly. As much as I am loath to admit, I cannot take Orochimaru out easily, and I cannot be seen. Get it? He asked Naruto, who nodded. Something was telling him to trust Itachi, and he would, even though it was pretty stupid of him. Well, I do have clones that can explode, and lots of exploding tags. How's that for a smoke signal? He asked Itachi. Scary good.
End flashback.
You dare take it away from me, I will kill you, Orochimaru screamed. Actually, no you won't, Naruto said calmly. Orochimaru was getting serious, he had to move, fast. However, Orochimaru was faster, and all of a sudden, they were in a battle. Fists were exchanged. Naruto used the flowing palm to full effect, trying to shut down Orochimaru's limbs. he struck Orochimaru's heart, only for two snakes to emerge from that body as Orochimaru reappeared from the ground around him. This was getting tougher. Naruto could not risk showing his Rinnegan. He already had the bird safely drop of Sasuke a distance away, but Naruto couldn't show Orochimaru that. The fight continued as Orochimaru began getting more serious. He was beginning to go all out. Obviously he wanted Naruto dead, but Naruto couldn't have that. "Hey Orochimaru," he said as Orochimaru let out a fist, which Naruto parried. Before letting out another fist towards Orochimaru's heart, Orochimaru somehow slithered away before jumping on Naruto in a flash.
"What is it, Naruto-kun?" he asked Naruto through gritted teeth as he let out another fist, which Naruto barely missed. "Remember when I said I had 100 explosions?" he asked Orochimaru. Another fist dodged.
"Yeah, what about it?" Another fist dodged. "I lied." Orochimaru's fist hit Naruto in the face, and then Orochimaru's eyes widened as Naruto held onto Orochimaru's arm. He was a clone, with more chakra for longevity.
Boom! Another explosion shattered the whole area, as Orochimaru was caught on, helplessly awaiting the effects of that one. XL. Naruto was winded those many explosions, plus making explosive tags on the fly. No wonder he was tired, and he was showing it. On the other hand, Orochimaru had managed surviving the explosions. Mostly, a part of his face was burnt off. But it did not seem to bother him. Naruto, however, was disturbed. This man truly had the will to survive, and the capability. Combine them, and you have a strong person.
Tired, Orochimaru asked Naruto. "Well, I'm not, Naruto-kun, I apologize, you hold promise, that is why I will give you a gift."
"Sure, and as a return present, I'll blow up again," Naruto said, laughing.
"You are tired now, give up Naruto. I know you are a Jinchuriki, but you will have to call on your demon, and that is not good for you, although I have the means to control it, so come on, it's a lose-lose situation."
"True, I am tired. I blew up a lot of clones. I'll admit that, but what?"
"It was all for a reason."
"Huh? What the hell is this?"
Orochimaru looked around. They weren't alone. Naruto smiled. Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Lee, Neji, Tenten, Kiba, Shino, Hinata, Gaara, Tamari, Kankuro, and Anko Mitarashi, along with some Konoha Chunin. "No, you can't be this conniving. No you can't," Orochimaru cried out in angst. He couldn't do what he wanted to, not here, not in front of these many people. "I will have that Sharingan, Naruto Uzumaki, you hear me, this is not over," he screamed.
"Run away, smart thing to do," Naruto said with a smug smile on his face, throwing Orochimaru's words back at him.
"You made a mistake, Naruto, a big mistake."
"Yeah, sure I did." Orochimaru was gone before anything could happen. He would have to regroup. He had underestimated Naruto, and had been outsmarted. Time to regroup. "What the fuck happened here?" Kiba shouted in shock. Naruto looked around. It was all a big crater. Several explosions sometimes does that to you.
"Kid, did you just take out a mile of the Forest of Death?" Anko asked Naruto, who did not say anything. He was going to collapse, and he couldn't do it here. For some reason, he was tired.
"Not now. Anko, Ni-chan. I have to skedaddle," he said, before vanishing in a sparkle of lightning.
"Found ya."
"Naruto, where the fuck were you?" It was Sakura, with her fangirl shriek. However, this had worry written all over it. They were in another clearing, not very far away, although enough for the explosions to not reach them. Naruto grinned sheepishly, before saying, "Sorry. I was scared shitless. Sasuke is knocked out, and I see explosions. What is going on?" she asked him before quieting down. There were tears in her eyes. "I was scared, though my uselessness killed you," she said quietly.
"Sakura, the person who knocked you out was a cage-level ninja, and the only reason I survived it because I relied on distractions. Don't worry, you'll get stronger. Now, what's that?" He asked. There was a scroll beside Sasuke's knocked-out body. Apparently the bird spinning at a height had knocked him out. Who would have, though it was due to air sickness?
Oh yeah, it's a scroll, I don't know. It's the Heaven Scroll. But I wonder if we should take it. It has a letter too. Addressed to you. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You didn't open it, he asked her. It was addressed to you. I couldn't open it. It would be wrong, she said to Naruto.
Naruto tore open the letter and read it.
Naruto-kun. Well done, no sweat. Like I said, that was scary good. You pretty much deserve the Heaven Scroll. Don't worry about who I took it from. They weren't important. Consider this a thank you. Naruto tore the letter, a grin on his face. He then burned the rest. He looked at Sakura, the grin still on his face. Was the scroll there all the time? He asked her. No, actually a crow dropped it off. What does the letter say? Naruto laughed. You have style, Itachi. It's a shame my best friend wants to murder you.
Nothing, Sakura. Let's go. After Sasuke wakes up, of course.
He took out about a mile of the forest and scared away a cage-level ninja. How? What have you been teaching him? Anko asked Kakashi. They were on the borders of the forest. The explosions had been heard in the village. It had been passed off as a training exercise. Although the Junin knew better, they were informed about a possible invasion. The source had been confidential. Even Kakashi did not seem to know. Now, Anko, I am sure you are exaggerating. Surely that is not possible. Naruto is talented, but he cannot take out about a mile of a forest. Kurenai said, trying to calm her down.
No, Kurenai, obviously, you did not see the crater. I don't know how he did it. I do not know, she said. The kid scared off Orochi fucking Maru. I don't know how, but I seriously doubt that he is an ordinary kid. I knew he was good, but I thought that was Iruka's brotherly love talking. But no, this kid is scary. He scared me.
No way, Naruto was dead last in class. He did not get so strong so quickly. It was Orochimaru's doing. And Naruto survived. That is all. Oh yeah, if it was Orochimaru's doing, why was he reduced to tears? 'Cause Mother Nature was hurt. He was about to cry. Kurenai. Trust me. I know my former sensei. He was anything but in control of the situation, Anko said to Kurenai.
Okay, stop arguing. Shikamaru and his team have reached the center. I'll find out what happened, alright. Asuma, the voice of reason, said. He kissed Kurenai on the cheek as he felt himself pulled away by a reverse summoning scroll.
XL.
Okay, Naruto, we have to move. Now is no time to sleep, Sakura said. Sasuke was still out, however he was moving. This air sickness thing seemed a bit serious.
Sakura-chan, please, let me lie down. I am really tired, please. It's only 2 hours. I know we can rush. But I don't wanna. We have 5 days. Only 6 hours have passed, please, he said to Sakura, who sighed before sitting down. Naruto put his head on her lap. Suke was beside her. She seemed like a team mom at this moment, and for some reason she felt happy. I was scared, Sakura, Naruto said to her. Sakura looked alarmed. Naruto, scared?
He was strong, I felt it. I don't know why, but seriously, he was not at his best, and he is a senile old man, one of the Sannin. It scares me. If he was going on full, I would have been finished. I'm not kidding, he said to her. Sakura smiled.
Naruto, I have my priorities right, Sakura said to him. Naruto sat up before looking at her in puzzlement.
Remember, I had to get my priorities right. Today, seeing those explosions, and everything, and seeing the bird save me from them, I realized that I do have precious people. You, Sasuke, Kakashi-sensei, you are my precious people. I wanted to protect you. I know, Sasuke rejected me and I vilified you. But I was wrong, very wrong. I am sorry, truly sorry this time. Forgive me, and please, make me stronger, she said to Naruto, who grinned. Sakura, don't you get it? Once you realize who your precious people are, you don't need help. It'll come from the inside. Feel it, he said to her. She smiled.
I feel it, she said, almost a whisper.
Good, Naruto said before falling unconscious, no asleep. He was tired, they would be delayed, at least they had the scroll. Well, he deserved it, both of them deserved it, she wouldn't be useless anymore.
Naruto Sasuke, I'll grow stronger. I'll protect you too, just like you protected E today, she thought smiling as she sat down. But the momentary peace was immediately broken.
A rabbit was running towards her, and Sakura and her reading on ambush told her that rabbits never ran to a human unless they were pets. This had explosive tag written all over it. She would get a chance now, to prove herself, to protect. She whipped out a kunai and hit the rabbit, which predictably exploded. Looks like the book helped.
Oh, it's just the weakling of the team, a voice called out, and 3 sound ninja appeared around them. She will be easy to deal with, the female said to her. She had whipped out her senbon.
Yes, her teammates are out, we can kill that Sasuke Uchiha, the third person said. This man looked like a mummy. Sakura began seething, no way she was letting her teammates die. Don't come any closer, I will finish you, she said seething. Oh ho ho, I am scared, Dosu, Kin, I am scared, I am so scared, one man said. The girl Kin and the mummy, Dosu began laughing.
Sakura's anger exploded. Her inner personality, which was shrieking inside her, was gone. She had come to terms with her restlessness. Today, she was no longer going to be inhibited, no longer in the back. She was going to stand beside Naruto and Sasuke, not behind them. She would achieve greatness, but how?
Tsunade-sama had good chakra control. She would channel her chakra to her fist, and then let it rip, thus maximizing her strength, and Sakura felt that this was worth a try, it was worth a shot, who knows, she might succeed. She began channeling her chakra, hoping that her near-perfect control came through and helped her. She balled her fists, before punching the ground, hoping that it would work.
Nothing happened, and Sakura's heart sunk. The 3 ninja were laughing, inching closer.
Pounding her fist into the ground, what a strong attack, the girl, Kin mocked her.
Okay, that's it, Sakura screamed, unknowingly waking up not only Sasuke, but also Naruto. She pounded her fist into the ground, but the laughter of the 3 sound ninja dissolved to horror. Somehow, the whole ground had cracked up. Now, Sakura said, standing up, "Are you scared?" she asked the person who had mocked her. The look on his face gave away the horror he was feeling.
Oh ho ho ho, Sakura laughed. Before the girl, Kin launched Tosenbon at her. Sakura deflected it with her kunai. Then she was on her, and punched her. The punch made an earth-shattering impact. Kin's teeth were seen flying about as she was knocked out. Before Dosu, the mummy, or the other kid Zaku could react, Sakura was onto them too, and punched them both, at once, and sent them crashing into a tree.
Oh yeah, Shinaru, Sakura screamed in delight, with a thumbs-up sign as she turned towards what she, though were her unconscious teammates. However, they were very much awake. Her smile turned into a blush, as Sasuke Naruto had what could best be described as pale white eyes.
Sasuke, brother, we are not messing with her again, you hear me? Naruto whispered to Sasuke as Sakura began jumping up and down in delight at having learned Tsunade's moves.
Mess with her? Are you kidding me? I might not show it, but I like my balls where they are. By that I mean on my body. XL.
It's true, Asuma said to Kurenai. They were back in the teacher's lounge.
What?
Shikamaru and Choji said it themselves. Ino is in denial, but it's true, Naruto did blow up about a mile of the forest, and also scared, yeah, that's right, scared Orochimaru away, Enko was right.
What? The expression on Jiraiya's face was comical. They were in the Hokage's office. Itachi, Sandaime, and Jiraiya.
That is correct, Jiraiya-sama. Naruto took out about a mile of the forest, and Orochimaru had to make a tactical retreat. I did not have to reveal myself. This saves us all the trouble of having to proceed with knowing that Orochimaru knows we are onto him, he said to the Sandaime, who nodded.
Sandaime. Sama. I am not one to tell you to do my job, but this kid reminds me of me. He's got intelligence and style. He has no business being a Gen in Itachi. said to Sandime, who nodded. Die.
Oh, this will get him a promotion, no doubt about that. Rikudo, old man, are you seeing this? My vessel, he is going to go places, many places. You chose right when the bloodline was given to him. He will be the one to bring peace. I just hope that there are more explosions on the way to that peace. Minato-sensei, your son has done me proud. He really did shock and awe me. I remember how you used to say that a shinobi should always try bamboozling his opponent. Well, your son is a perfect embodiment of you, sensei. He looks like you and acts like you in battle, and loves ramen, but he's like Kushina-sama in that respect. I hope wherever you are watching, this should make you proud.
Obito, you saved me from the darkness. Naruto will save Sasuke. I know this. He will, trust me. Kakashi smiled. He no longer had to hold on to his past. Today, he would move on. He was like Minato-sensei and Sandime, raising a team that would shake the world to its foundations, but right now, they were calling him... He felt the reverse summoning pull him away. So, there have to be preliminaries, sensei. Sakura asked Kakashi, who smiled. It reached his eyes. They had opened the scrolls in the tower. All was good. Oh yes. Yes it is. Is that a problem? Are you kidding me, sensei? Naruto asked as Sasuke snorted. We're Team 7. We held our own against Orochimaru and Sakura took out 3 genin by herself. I think we'll be okay.
They would be okay, Kakashi knew it. He will pay, Orochimaru screamed.
Failed. Madara. Don't be angry. I heard about your failure from my agent, well, not good. Orochimaru, not good. I have time. Sure, although if I was you, I'd not underestimate that Naruto kid. Seems like bad news, Madara said before teleporting away. Naruto was bad news, and his capture, that would be good news. But that was a long, long time away.
Preliminaries were going to be held to decide who would go on to the finals of the Chunin exams, which were gonna take place in a month. Naruto had hoped that all this would be over soon, but that was not to be. Apparently the month was given so that the leaders of other villages could arrive in Konoha to bolster the spirits of their genin. Naruto did not care. He was tired of the exams. The fight with Orochimaru had taken a lot out of him. He knew that even with his Aizen Uzumaki blood, he could only take so much. He was just glad that the Rinnegan was not shown to anyone. He was scared about the backlash that might occur if someone were to find out about the Rinnegan.
He looked at the teams that had qualified. It was his own team, plus Team Gai, and Team 8 and Team 10. Also, the team from Kumo and Suna had qualified. It left the other team from the Sound. Naruto grit his teeth. He had wanted to tie them up. That could have reduced the total number of participants. However, he didn't mind. He was confident that he could defeat them all.
4 days later, Kabuto's team had arrived too, and they had given up. One of Kabuto's teammates was too injured and the whole team had decided to give up. Naruto did not trust Kabuto one bit, but he did not seem to have a choice in the matter. The Hokage had let Team Kabuto leave the hall. He had then proceeded to give other teams the option to quit, however no one did. Naruto smiled. This meant that there were 21 people. One person was gonna get a bye into the final. The bye would be decided by some sort of a lucky draw. As it turned out, Neji received the bye. Neji smiled. Luck had favored him and he was happy. After all, it was destiny that favored him, didn't it? The teams that had seen Naruto's penchant for destruction were slightly in awe of him now. They could not believe it at first, but over the last few days it had began sinking in. Naruto seemed stronger. The only person who seemingly disagreed was Neji. He still could not believe that Naruto was the one to blow up a mile of forest. It must have been that snake nin, Orochimaru. The Junin sensei had warned their teams. Ino was already thinking about giving up if she was matched with Naruto. However, as it turned out, she did not have to worry, as the first match was
Naruto. Uzumaki versus Karui. Alright, an easy opponent. Karui the redhead from Kumo exclaimed, pumping her fists in the air. Naruto looked at her and smiled. You're welcome, he said to her.
What are you talking about? Karui asked Naruto, puzzled that he was not even a little angry. I am glad that you consider yourself to be an easy opponent for me, at least you aren't delusional like some other people, he said to her. Karui turned red when she heard that. Omoi was laughing and Yugito had a smile on her face. Sasuke was smirking and Sakura was trying to hold her laughter in.
That's it, you are going down, Karui shouted at Naruto, who merely smirked as he raised an eyebrow. A shinobi does not get influenced by an opponent trying to talk him down. Such a shame, he said to her. Your sensei is going to be disappointed, he said, looking at said sensei. He was staring at Naruto with a lazy expression on his face. Naruto recognized this person from the bingo book, Darui of the Black Lightning. Okay, Proctor, call the match, she shouted, looking towards the sickly Hayate Gecko, who shrugged. Begin.
Karui charged towards Naruto, who sidestepped. She was a hothead, and Naruto knew he could exploit this and take the win, and that is exactly what he was going to do.
You will die for disrespecting me, you midget, she shouted. Cloud style. Front beheading as she slashed her sword that she had suddenly pulled out from its holster. However, in an instant, Naruto had his own sword out, blocking Karui's. He pushed the sword and Karui lost her balance as she stumbled. Naruto immediately pounced and kicked her on the back. She cried out in pain as she held her back.
Pathetic, Naruto said before kicking her again. This time she was kicked so hard that the wind was knocked out of her lungs. She fell down, unconscious.
Naruto looked at Hayate, who had his mouth open. Naruto grinned upon seeing the expression on his sword teacher's face. Winner Naruto Uzumaki, Hayate said. Sakura and Sasuke began applauding. Naruto just shrugged. On his way up, he looked at Darui.
Darui-san, your reputation precedes you. Please tell your foolish student to never ever call me a midget. Get it? He asked Darui, who sized up Naruto before nodding. Okay, Naruto-san, I get it, won't happen again.
Good. XL. What? Naruto asked, looking at Sakura. She looked worried.
You hit her too hard, she will be humiliated when she wakes up, she said to Naruto, who sighed.
Don't you mean if she wakes up? Sasuke asked Sakura. She turned towards him and began staring.
What? I can crack jokes too, you know, he said to both of them. His face fell when he observed the swear drops on their faces.
They would have continued with the conversation, but the second match was announced. Sakura Haruno versus Ino Yamanaka. Oh wow, I got an easy opponent. Prepared to go down forehead? Ino asked Sakura, who smiled. Ino pig, I hope you are prepared to go down after all. It's the pigs who lay snorting on the floor, she said. To Ino's credit, this did not rile her up as much as it should have. Both of them made their way down to the arena to fight. Begin, said Hayate as Ino and Sakura dropped into a stance. Their fight was not as much of a cat fight as some people had been expecting, as a matter of fact. It was more tactical than anybody would have hoped.
Sakura tried throwing Ino off track by using multiple camouflaging jutsu, but Ino seemed competent enough to take them apart. However, she could not hit Sakura with the mind transfer technique as much as she tried.
Sakura was not giving any room for Ino to use her jutsu, and Ino could not seemingly pull it off. The fight continued for a while, but finally Sakura managed to land a punch on Ino, thus knocking her out. Winner, Sakura Haruno. XL. The next match was pretty lazy. No pun intended. Shikamaru. Nara vs. Kin Tsuchi.
You might look cute with your hair in your ponytail like that, but I know just how to beat the likes of you, Kin said after she had stepped down in the arena. Shikamaru had sighed with exasperation, not wanting to do anything with fighting a woman. For some reason this seemed to anger Tamari of all people. It had taken 5 minutes for Shikamaru to come down to the arena, and once he had continued sighing and saying he did not want to fight the match, not if it was against a girl, but it was to no avail.
Finally, after what seemed like 100 years, Shikamaru came down to the arena. Finally, Kin said, smiling. Shikamaru just sighed. Give up, you lose, he said to Kin. That's when people realized what had really happened. Single shadow was extending and reaching out to Kin, who was already trapped. "You are in my shadow. I took advantage of all that distraction that I caused on purpose," he said to her, before proceeding to head towards the wall. He then imitated bashing his head against the wall. But Kin actually just bashed her head for real, thus knocking herself out. "I did not want to do this." "What a shame," he said to the people that were watching him from above. "I feel sorry for Shika's wife," Naruto said. To no one in particular. Sasuke and Kiba snickered. Chuji was smiling, but Chino did not have any reaction whatsoever. He was still as stoic as he always had been. XL.
"This invasion, it better go off without a hitch, Kabuto. I will not be outsmarted again," Orochimaru told Kabuto Yakushi. "Yes, Orochimaru-sama, I will make sure that no one finds out, that the element of surprise is maintained when you attack Konoha," he said to him. Orochimaru nodded.
"Yes, Kabuto, I have had it with Konoha. Not only will I deal with Sarutobi-sensei, I will also deal with that blonde-haired demon brat," he said to Kabuto, who nodded. "My lord, are you sure that no one was helping him? I find it hard to believe that a mere child, that too a genin just outsmarted you like that. I mean, he forced you to run away," Kabuto said to Orochimaru, and the surge of killer intent reminded him of his mistake. He had used the wrong words.
"You might be my greatest source of info, Kabuto, but do not make me kill you," Orochimaru said to Kabuto. Kabuto gulped before bowing down in front of Orochimaru.
"Sorry, Orochimaru-sama. It will never happen again," he said. "Make sure that it doesn't." XL. Match 4. Sasuke Uchiha versus Yugito Niseben.
"Okay, it's finally my turn to shine," said Sasuke smiling. It did not seem like a friendly smile, actually it looked maniacal. "Sasuke, no showboating," Naruto said to him, looking serious.
"What?" he asked Naruto in shock. Naruto just nodded his head, hoping his teammate would understand. "You won't win this, at least not easily. Just do not slack off, alright?" Naruto asked him. Sasuke nodded. He was determined to do well. He had his own motivation of making the finals now. "What makes you think that I'm not going to win?" he asked Naruto. "Are you forgetting that I am the last Uchiha?" he asked Naruto as he activated his Sharingan. "What about Itachi? He's dead to me."
Naruto gulped. Itachi did not seem to be the cold-blooded killer the legends had painted him. As a matter of fact, he had come off as a friendly person, albeit a crazy friendly one as he smiled so often.
"Naruto, are you listening to me? We will meet in the exam," Sasuke said to him. Naruto was brought back to reality as he smiled. "Let's hope so," he shouted back. Sasuke had meanwhile made his way to the arena where Yugito was already standing. "Kit, do you think we will get to see Nibi in action?" Kurama asked Naruto, who shrugged inwardly. "Maybe," he said to no one in particular in a voice that was so low that no one could hear him. "For Sasuke's own good. Let's hope not."
Kurama affirmed as Naruto turned his complete attention towards the fight. Hayate had already called the beginning, and both Sasuke and Yugito were in their stances.
"Those eyes, Uchiha-san. I am not particularly fond of them," Yugito said to him. "Which is why I am going to work harder at beating you." "Don't hold back," Sasuke shot back. "You might lose," he said to her.
He still has some of that recklessness and bravado, but Naruto and Sakura's friendship has mostly eroded that. Well, Konoha wasn't exactly built in a day, Kakashi said to no one in particular, although almost everyone heard it.
Sasuke made the first move as he rushed through hand seals before releasing some fireballs that exploded on contact. Yugito skillfully dodged them all. "Exploding. Flame shots," Azuma said to Kakashi. "You sure you can trust a kid with those?" he asked him. Kakashi smiled.
"Oh, I don't know, what else would I teach him?" he asked Asuma, whose shoulders slumped.
Gai Kurenai said to the spandex-clad Junin, who had remained uncharacteristically quiet so far.
"Kakashi, Guy said, looking seriously at the battle going on underneath them. All your students seem to know a lot more than they should. Sasuke has a dangerous technique and Naruto can blow up forests. What is going on? He asked Kakashi, who began smiling awkwardly behind his mask. Nothing like that, Guy. Please, don't worry about it. Naruto was probably desperate when he blew up the forest. After all, he was fighting an S-rank missing nin who had come to abduct his best friend. Anybody would be scared, he said to Guy.
So scared that he blew up a forest? Azuma asked Kakashi as Kurenai and Guy nodded. While Kakashi began sweating. Does it really matter? He asked Azuma, who nodded. He wanted answers and he was going to get them.
Yes, so tell me, Kakashi, how is it that he is so talented? I mean, he has to be doing something right. Or you have to be doing something for him to be so good, right?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I think he liked blowing things up, Kakashi finished. Kurenai sighed as she realized that there was not going to be an answer more concrete than the one Kakashi was going to give them now.
Leave him, Asuma. He is not going to tell us. It's no point wasting our time on him, she said to him. Asuma nodded before dropping the subject and concentrating on the battle again. In the few minutes that Asuma and Kakashi had talked, the entire battlefield had changed. It now resembled a volcano, or at least what Naruto thought looked like the interior of a volcano.
It's gonna take about 3 S-ranked missions to repair this shit, Azuma said in disgust, as he surveyed the damage done in front of him. Sasuke and Yugito, meanwhile, were oblivious to the damage they had caused. They were focused on nothing but themselves.
Not bad for an arrogant Uchiha, Yugito said to Sasuke.
Not bad for a nobody, he shot back in kind. They continued their fighting as they suddenly decided to indulge in taijutsu. Sasuke's Sharingan was proving to be more helpful here, as he was able to negate almost everything the feisty Kumo Kunoichi was throwing at him, and paying back in kind. Sasuke was getting tired though. While the girl seemed to run on limitless fuel, she reminded him of Naruto, who also never ever tired out in their spars. He wondered if it was something to do with a bloodline limit. Okay, I need to finish this thing. And I need to do it now, he said to Yugito, before launching exploding flame shots at her, which Yugito again skillfully dodged.
Don't get too reliant on one technique, Yugito said to him as she suddenly vanished in a burst of speed, reappearing behind Sasuke and swiping at him, tearing his shirt in the process, scratching him to the point of drawing blood. One look at Yugito and Sasuke realized that it was the nails on her fingers that did the job.
That was my cat. Claw, Yugito said to him, taunting him and increasing the levels of Sasuke's anger until he couldn't take it anymore. He charged at her faster than he had, all the pain that had welled up in him forgotten. He just charged, taking her by surprise as he kicked her square in the jaw.
That, Sasuke said as he looked at a stumbling Yugito, was a kick.
It was a good kick and had disoriented Yugito. She had felt slightly dizzy, but now the pain had come back to Sasuke. The anger had numbed it for a while, but now it was back.
Is it hurting? Yugito asked him, the mocking in her voice evident. He did not like the voice one bit, but the only way to shut it up was to continue fighting.
I'll like it better once I beat you and I get treated for this shit, he said to her, before continuing his charge, and again meeting blows for blows with Yugito. How long will it be till she cracks and uses Nibai? I kind of want to see her in action, Kurama said to Naruto, who silently agreed. Meanwhile, Sasuke was reaching towards an end. He had been badly injured and could not hold on for much longer. If he could not get her down before that, he'd have to quit. And he hated quit. He couldn't afford to quit. Yugito on the other end had the same dilemma. She sensed that she would have to tap into her tailed beast before she could beat him. However, the words of her sensei came to her mind. She could not, under any condition, go tailed beast on anyone whilst she was in Konoha. She could not go against her sensei.
Sasuke on the other hand decided to make one last final charge towards Yugito with all he had left. The cat claw had wounded him and he realized that this would be his last chance to get any sort of significant damage done. He had to take her out now or she would take him out very easily. They clashed as Yugito struggled to defend against Sasuke's rapid fast strikes while he summoned up every last of his willpower. Yugito noticed that Sasuke was even faster than he was before and chalked it up to the adrenaline that the fight had produced. She warded off the final of his attacks as Sasuke fell to his knees. The bleeding from the scratches at the back had done its job, and he had weakened significantly.
"You've lost blood. Give up," Yugito said to him in a matter-of-fact tone. "I don't give up. I can't give up," Sasuke said, sputtering. Meanwhile, in the stands, Naruto and Sakura had looks of concern on their faces. Sasuke had been losing a lot of blood, and Sakura was worried that something serious was going to happen.
"Sasuke," she called out from the stands, "there is no point. Give up, it's not worth getting injured seriously," she called out to him. Sasuke just looked at her and glared. Naruto did not say anything. He knew asking Sasuke to stop would be futile and somewhat hypocritical, because he himself wouldn't have stopped. Sasuke got up again. Despite his wooziness, he was sure that if he got up after this battle, Sakura would kill him dead. Yugito had a look of absolute surprise on her face. She hadn't thought that Sasuke would have so much in him to still put up a fight.
Sasuke prepared some hand seals as he launched a great fireball technique at Yugito, who moved to avoid her. In the moment that she was dodging, Sasuke charged at her and jumped up, spinning in the air as he landed a kick at Yugito. Caught unawares, she had not option but to take the blow, which knocked her out.
Sasuke himself had lost consciousness as he landed the kick and both of them fell to the floor, knocked out. The result was a draw.
Naruto and Sakura rushed down towards Naruto while Yugito's teammates went towards her. Sasuke barely opened his eyes to look at Yugito, who was also knocked out. "Did I win?" he asked Naruto, his voice barely a whisper.
"Yes," Naruto said. "You just won yourself a nice little head bop from Sakura for being so reckless. You also could not beat her. It was a draw. Both of you are gonna sit this one out," he finished.
"Great," Sasuke sighed before returning to his sleep. "Go easy on him, will you?" Naruto asked Sakura, who nodded her head.
"I'll deal with him when he is fully recovered," Sakura said to him before hitting her fists against her palm. Naruto gulped.
"Kit, do you think that her bijou did not come out before she was instructed to?" Kurama asked Naruto. "That is something worth thinking about. Maybe she just did not want to be revealed as a Jinchuriki." Naruto asked him. "Call me a paranoid fox, but I think there is something going on behind the scenes, and I want to find out," Kurama said to him.
"Paranoid fox," Naruto said to him. "I think you are thinking too much. Maybe we should get you out of that cage," he said to Kurama.
"Does that mean you are gonna tear the seal open?" Kurama asked. "Hopefully." "Yes, and then I'm gonna go and fuck the princess of Konoha," Naruto said in a biting tone. "Smart ass," Kurama said to him, snarling.
Meanwhile, medical personnel were attending to a badly injured Sasuke and a not so badly injured, but still pretty injured.
XL. Sasuke woke up in a hospital room, which suddenly changed into a green meadow, with one shadowy figure standing in the background.
"Is it a dream?" he called out. "No, it's a nightmare," a familiar voice called out to him. Sasuke recognized it instantly. "You!" Sasuke raged out as he lashed towards the figure, the direction from which the voice came out. He had realized that he suddenly could run and the pain on his back was gone, but before he could reach the figure, a chain that he did not know existed stopped his progress, tripping him and stopping him from reaching the figure.
"Don't bother, you're in the Tsukiyomi. There is no escape," the voice called out to him. "You! What are you doing here?" Sasuke shouted, a scream that was demonic more than anything else. "There is no point, little brother. I'm not going to tell you why I am here. Not until you calm down and stop struggling."
It was another hour before Sasuke finally stopped struggling.
"Are you going to kill me then? Has my time run out?" Sasuke asked him, finally, after having struggled for so long, realizing that resistance was futile. "No," Itachi said, coming closer to Sasuke, before poking him on the head. The poke on his head seemed to bring back memories of a happier time in his life, when he had a family that cared for him, and his brother was the person he idolized. "Itachi Uchiha,
I'm going to tell you a story, you're going to listen. Do you hear me? He asked Sasuke, who nodded. I didn't know the Tsukiyomi could be used like this, Sasuke said to Itachi in a low voice.
I had a girlfriend before the massacre, she said, listening to me. Telling stories was a form of torture, so I guess I'm still torturing you. Sasuke had an expression on his face that nobody could use an adjective to describe. XL. Few years ago.
He had done it, and now he had to live with the consequences. He had killed his entire family. He had groaned painfully as he brought them all to their punishment, their death penalty that they deserved for attempted treason, against his home, the village he was born and brought up in. Even Dango did not taste as sweet. Of course, what he hadn't told anyone was that he hadn't done it all. He had been helped by someone who could be the only person in this world Itachi was afraid of, someone who had founded his very own clan, someone who wanted revenge. And yet things didn't add up. Hadn't Madara been dead already? How could he have come back, looking so young? Had he attained immortality? Did that even exist? Of course, Madara had promised Itachi immortality, eternal peace and a lot more. All he wanted in return was for Itachi to join him, to help him in his quest. What was it again? For eternal immortality. And he had been a coward, he had refused. All he had wanted was to get the job done, and keep the only person he loved and his family safe. Madara had promised that Sasuke would be safe, nothing would happen to him, but he had also said that if Itachi were to get in his way, that would be it for him.
All he ever thought of was his little brother, hoping that he was stewing in his hate for him, hoping that he was getting stronger every day, strong enough to protect himself.
And here he was, on the run, in a village that was in the land of rainbows. He'd come here because he had heard that there was plenty of crime, spare jobs to do so that he could keep up with life.
It was then he sensed something big coming in his direction, a chakra pool so large it was intimidating, and it was coming towards him, quickly.
The fact that the source of chakra was even there indicated that the person had no intentions of concealing himself. Itachi decided to hide himself even better. He'd make no move till he found out who it was.
Hiding from a Sannin, not a good idea, Itachi, a voice called out. It was familiar and friendly, full of enthusiasm. Here to catch me, Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya smiled. The toad sage came into clearer view as Itachi came out of the enclosure he was hiding in. He hadn't changed much. He was still old and quite tall. Much taller than Itachi. You think I wouldn't find out what happened? You think I'd not have the common sense? He asked Itachi as realization dawned on Itachi's face. Jiraiya knew everything about what really happened. I have to commend you, Itachi, making the ultimate sacrifice of your family just for the safety of your village. You've got some guts. But maybe you should have finished the job completely, Jiraiya said to him. The last statement with a little bit of malice in it.
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I know you know fully what I mean by that, Jiraiya said to Itachi, almost shouting. His voice still resounded around the clearing they were in.
Land of Rainbows has a lot of petty crime. If I was on the run, I'd be here for the money. That's how I found you, Jiraiya said to Itachi.
What do you mean by me finishing the job? Surely you don't mean I have to kill
your brother Sasuke. Yes, Jiraiya finished, answering his question for him. Itachi didn't know what to make of that and so decided to say nothing as Jiraiya let that thought stew. You might as well have killed him because if that's how you think he'll grow, then you're fucking foolish. Jiraiya finished.
What was I supposed to do? Itachi asked him. I told you, either you should have killed him, or you should have thought of something else. I know the options were limited, but your mistake only shows that as human beings we are all flawed, Jiraiya answered. Your way meant Sasuke became emotionally detached, and yes, he is without friends, he doesn't have a shisui like you did, Itachi, he has no one keeping him sane. Is that what you want? Jiraiya asked him. That is when it dawned upon Itachi, he had been a mindless Anbu killer himself, but he always had Shisui keeping him sane, talking to him and taking care of him. Sasuke had no one. Had his move really made him so hell-bent on revenge that he had time for nothing else?
What do I do? Itachi asked Jiraiya, who smiled. Why, I think I have something you can do. XL. So that's what happened, Itachi finished. Sasuke realized that he had been shown the entire thing in the Tsukiyomi. He watched amazed as he heard about the Uchiha revolt, and learning that Madara Uchiha was still alive. He was even more amazed when he found out that Itachi was still working for the village.
It was another 5 minutes before Sasuke was able to speak again. You chose the village over our family. Why?
I don't think you're old enough to understand that, Sasuke Itachi said, smiling. His brother was one of the few people that made him smile. I understand, Sasuke said. This village protecting its people, did it give you the purpose of existing? You lived to protect the village, didn't you? You'd do anything to preserve the purpose of your existence.
Interesting, maybe Jiraiya-sama was right, pairing you up with Naruto is having positive effects.
Naruto is a good friend, he's the brother that you never were, Sasuke said to him. He sounded like a hurt child. Itachi nodded. I know I never was there, and I know you still hate me, but I'd love to be there for you now, he said to Sasuke. How do I know this is not a trap? And how the hell do I trust you? I work with the Hokage, I think you can trust me on this. How did you do it, Itachi? How did you kill them, Mom and Dad? How did you do it? He asked Itachi, who closed his eyes. I don't know, Sasuke. I don't want to remember. Sasuke nodded. He probably wouldn't want to remember doing something that horrible either. Were they in it, Mom and Dad? Were they planning the rebellion?
Unfortunately, they were in the forefront of the whole thing.
Sasuke nodded again. He was still kind of angry at Itachi, but that was fading away. I think I understand why you did what you did, Sasuke said to him. Itachi looked at him questioningly. Unfortunately, being around Naruto so much has given me a strange affection for our village, and I think if I were you, forced to make such a tough decision, I'd have done it too.
Itachi smiled. It looked like Naruto had done more than enough for Sasuke.
Although I had built up my life around the whole killing my brother thing, I don't have any purpose now, he said to Itachi.
Maybe you can revive our clan, but you'll have to have loads of sex for that, Itachi said, smiling. And I don't think anyone has told you about the birds and the bees yet.
Actually, Naruto showed me some pictures. It was kinda disgusting, Sasuke said to him. Suddenly, he realized that his bondings had come off, and he was no longer in the Tsukiyomi. He was back in his bed, and Itachi was gone.
His eyes moved towards a note that had mysteriously appeared on the bedside table. It was from Itachi. Sasuke, there's people that don't know about my allegiance, let's keep it that way. You can tell Naruto, and only him, no one else. Meet me at the compound once you recover, we begin your training then. Sasuke smiled. It would take time to accept the truth, but at least he'd be well trained.
XL. Holy shit, Gaara is crazy, Naruto said to no one in particular. He had just witnessed a horrible battle between Rock Lee and Gaara, and unfortunately for Rock Lee, despite his best efforts, Gaara managed winning, crushing Rock Lee in a sand tomb, injuring him critically. Temari had already progressed by beating 10-10, that left Neji as the last remaining member in Team Guy, who also became the only person from his team to qualify because of the bye. He also decided to pour salt on Hinata's wounds by insulting her and branding her as unfit to lead the clan in the future after she had lost to Omoi.
Of course, that had led to Naruto going berserk and deciding to challenge Neji, who brushed him off and called him a one-trick pony and a fluke. Sakura and Kakashi had to hold Naruto back from doing something drastic. I don't know if I want to hate Neji or feel sorry for Lee, Naruto said, fuming. He had already promised that Neji would get what's coming to him, he couldn't wait to get started on that.
Naruto, I understand that you're mad, but remember, don't do anything drastic. After all, he is also a member of the Leaf Village, remember? Kakashi told Naruto in an attempt to quiet him down, that ultimately proved futile. And Hinata is not a member of the Leaf Village. Need I remind you that he totally humiliated her, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked him, raising his voice. Raising your voice at him won't do anything. You need to speak with your actions. Kakashi said to him.
I know, and I will. I just hope I get to show him up on the big stage, Naruto said, rubbing his palms together. Showing off is not going to get you promoted, Naruto. Thinking with an open mind and thinking towards the goal is, am I clear on that? Kakashi asked him. A slight menacing tone began showing in his voice.
I got it, Sensei. Sorry for shouting, Naruto said, regret in his voice. Okay, think nothing about it, Kakashi said to him, giving him a thumbs up.
I need to leave and get some fresh air, you guys mind? Naruto asked Kakashi and Sakura.
Don't you want to know who your opponent is going to be? Sakura asked Naruto, who shook his head.
I need to prepare either way, it does not matter, you guys can tell me later, I need to go visit Sasuke, Naruto said. He looked pretty banged up, I'll check on him.
Kakashi sighed. Fine. Go, he said as Naruto flickered away a spark of lightning.
Damn, I need to learn how to do that, looks so cool, Kakashi said in a low voice, hoping no one heard him. Unfortunately for him, everyone did, and began looking at him.
What? Kakashi gestured as the rest of the Junin crowd shook heads. XL.
So he appeared, huh? Naruto asked him. Sasuke had just asked him about Itachi and whether they had worked together in the past.
I don't know anything about his plans, by the way. All he told me was that Orochimaru wanted to kidnap you, and so I had to assist in keeping you safe. Naruto said to him. Sasuke sat up in bed. I don't need my best friend to look after me. I could have survived, he said hotly. Sorry, but as your best friend, it's my job looking after you. Plus, what kind of hulkage will I make if I can't even save my best friend, Naruto shot back. Sasuke remained silent for a while. I'm weak, he said after about 5 minutes of saying nothing. No, Orochimaru is too strong. You got him.
Only because he underestimated me, and I think I just made myself a dangerous enemy. My bloodline notwithstanding, I am seriously underprepared, Sasuke, as are you. We need to train then, don't we?
If it were that simple, I'd do that myself. What do you mean? Sasuke, there has to be something that separates a Hokage from an ordinary ninja, right? Naruto asked him. Sasuke nodded. They're stronger, yes, Sasuke said.
That's not necessarily true. Hokage Gigi tells me that the Pervy Sage is stronger than him, and from what I know about Pervy Sage, Orochimaru is about as strong as he is, if not more.
Are you drawing that comparison because of the legendary Sannin moniker? Sasuke asked him.
Wait, how do you know who Pervy Sage is? Naruto asked him, curious.
Itachi told me Jiraiya was a hermit who loved whores, Sasuke said, absolutely deadpan.
Wait, he said that? Naruto asked him. Sasuke nodded.
Man, that's cold, Naruto said, sounding impressed.
So why did Orochimaru want me? Sasuke asked Naruto. Do you have any idea?
It's your eyes, I think. Fuck. Your eyes are better than mine.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that.
No one knows, Naruto. When will you tell them?
How does as long as I can hide it sound to you?
The council can get behind you, and the villagers can get behind you, right? The council will ask me to get behind a dozen women and fuck them. The villagers will grumble because Konoha will become more crowded with the number of kids I'll give birth to. For some odd reason, Sasuke blushed.
Haku is very pretty, isn't she? He asked Naruto. How am I supposed to answer that question? Naruto asked Sasuke. Sasuke just stared at him before they both burst into laughter. You know, I was dreading being in a team, but now that I'm in it, I think things have changed. With Itachi back, and you guys, I think I've found a new family, Sasuke said, smiling perhaps one of the few times in a long time, genuinely.
What about a purpose? Naruto asked him. I'll just restore my clan, Sasuke said, smirking. Fuck. I mean literally. Lots of that will be involved. I hate to interrupt you guys, a new voice sounded. It came from the doorway. Shikamaru, who let you out? Naruto asked him. You think only you get to come and go as you please, Naruto? Shikamaru asked him. His voice was as lazy as it had always been. Yes, Naruto said slowly. Shikamaru sighed. Fine, he said, sighing again. The prelims got done. You got Niji, by the way. I'm facing Temari. Sakura is facing Karui, and Kankuro gets a bye in the finals. Zaku is facing Gaara, he finished. Thanks, Shika. So why are you here? To talk to you, Naruto. You got some time? Sure, Naruto said. Let's do this here. Sue doesn't need to hear what I'm going to say, Shikamaru said, his voice suddenly all the more serious.
Wait, why? I want to hear it too. Tell me, he said, sitting up, trying to get out of bed. Naruto held him in place as he stood.
I knew it, you were holding back, weren't you, Shika? You would always figure it out before anyone else, Naruto said to him, smiling. In case you're wondering, you are nothing like the Nine Tails. I can tell you, keep him safe. Shikamaru said to Naruto, who closed his eyes and smiled again. I can't tell you how happy I am that you accept me for what I am, but I think Sasuke is having a heart attack. Tell him in detail, will you? He asked Naruto. Do I have to? Shikamaru asked in a childish tone. It's too long, you do it, he said. Naruto looked exasperated. He then proceeded to tell Sasuke about his parents and the attack, leaving out the unknown enemy bit. Sasuke had a pale look on his face. It was obvious he had heard a lot of secrets. Any old man would probably be dead from a heart attack. Is this why they treated you like a fucking piece of trash? Sasuke asked him. Fuck, you don't deserve this, Naruto. No one won. Shut up, Sasuke. I turned out fine, as you can tell, Naruto said, smiling. But why? You have all the reasons to hate. Why do you ignore them? He asked Naruto. Because just like my hate, my will to protect the village is also something that I can have. I just chose the latter over the former. Sasuke stayed silent at that, not speaking. He was being forced to do a lot of thinking.
Okay, well, I love the fact that you guys are having a moment, Shikamaru said, hints of a grin on his face. I wouldn't even mention it to anyone, Naruto, and won't bring it up when you're alone. To me, you're still the same guy you always were. Okay, Shikamaru asked Naruto. Me neither, this is not a problem, okay, Naruto? Sasuke asked Naruto. At that moment, Naruto felt warmer than he ever had. Kirby Sage had told him that in time he would find a place, if not with everyone, then at least with some people. Seeing Shikamaru and Sasuke pledge their allegiance to staying silent about the fox made him feel really happy inside. When I become Hokage, you guys are getting promoted, Naruto said, almost choking up.
Can I stay a normal ninja? I don't want to be responsible. Shikamaru groaned.
No, we need your tactical expertise, Naruto fired back. I'll head Anbu then, seems like a great thing to do. Plus, Kakashi-sensei seems to have hooked me on the idea of a mask. Hey Naruto, you think you can pick one up for me? Sasuke asked him.
Sakura can bring it over. I'll tell her. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. She's gonna thrash me. Plus, after that stunt in the forest, Sasuke goopled. Naruto gulped too. Okay, Shikamaru butted it. I am not done yet, he said. Next, he's gonna tell us that Suna is going to attack Konoha Sasuke, said sarcastically. Shikamaru, Naruto, and Sasuke then looked at each other.
Actually, Shikamaru began.
XL.
Temari was in love. She was being silly and she knew it, but Shikamaru had done something to her. They might have been 3 years apart, but in a way, they were both very, very smart. The time she spent with him left her happier than she had ever felt with anyone. It made her imagine things like her future, and her family, things that she had never ever thought about.
Whatever time she spent with him, she was happy. She forgot about her tyrannical father. She forgot about her psychotic brother. She had begun fantasizing. something that she knew was the last thing that should be happening. But it was. She was going to do it. She was going to desert. It seemed silly, but she had no choice. She was going to leave. Maybe Konoha could take her in.
Temari gulped again. That was not going to happen. Shikamaru was going to hate her. She knew that he was lazy, but he loved his family and cared for his team and had precious people here. Just the thought of him hating her scared her.
She berated herself. Like it or not, she loved her brothers. They were her precious people, and fucking them over was not a solution. She'd have to do something else that could keep everyone safe, that could nip this in the bud. She needed to sabotage. XL. So we are doing this. This is so exciting, Naruto giggled, sounding really excited. Oh come on, you're putting too much thought into this, Shikamaru sighed. Personally, I think it's cool, Sasuke said, smiling. We can be detectives, swoop in and save the day. Who knows, it might mean promotions.
I thought we have to take the exams to be promoted, Naruto said to Sasuke, who shook his head.
My father said field promotions are not that uncommon. Apparently our Hokage himself was promoted to Hokage during a mission, he said. Yeah, I heard of that too, Shikamaru said, nodding.
Cool, Naruto squealed. We can be the detective boys. I'm Conan, he said, as if being Conan was akin to calling shotgun.
I find that series too convoluted. Real life isn't that convoluted, Shikamaru said. You take that back, Naruto began hotly, before being stopped by Sasuke. He said, getting up, wincing in pain, sitting right back. Oh, who the fuck am I kidding? Like this I can't even take a piss, let alone be a fucking detective, Sasuke grumbled. Shikamaru had told them about Gaara being used as a weapon. Naruto revealed to Shikamaru that Gaara had the one-tailed beast in him. Shikamaru figured that Gaara would be made to lose control by someone in the exam, and then unleashed. Naruto and Sasuke were impressed by his impressive deductions.
We have a month to train for the exam. The last stage is going to be on the big stage, in front of the millions and millions of people. We need time for the Raikage and his convoy, and the Cage and his convoy to arrive, so we have time on our hands, Shikamaru said.
You didn't tell me we had time, Naruto shouted, immediately putting hands around his mouth. He had been too loud. Good job, Naruto. Now the whole hospital thinks we've been attacked, Sasuke said. Sorry, Naruto said sheepishly. So we have a month then, huh?
Yup, we've got to sabotage this thing, okay, and tell the Hokage, but we'll do that after the sabotage, Shikamaru finished. Footsteps could be heard now, the nurses were coming. Okay, we got it, Naruto said. Wait, there's nurses coming, I'm gonna be in trouble. Okay, this bird is gonna fly now, Naruto said as he vanished in a crackle of lightning. Is it just me? Shikamaru began. Is that cool?
I have got to ask him to teach me that, Sasuke said to him. You better move. Shikamaru, nurses are coming. Visitors are not allowed.
It's okay, Shikamaru said before moving towards a bed that was placed a few feet away from Sasuke's, and promptly closed his eyes and lay down in it.
What the fuck are you doing, Shikamaru? Sasuke asked him. Playing dead. I'm the best at that game. Shikamaru replied.
I wonder if you'll do that when you and Temari are fucking.
Sasuke. Jokes don't suit you. XL. How did it go, Itachi? They were in Sandaim's office, and Itachi had just informed him about his meeting with Sasuke. Good. Putting Naruto and Sasuke together has done wonders. He tries cracking jokes now.
The Sandaime laughed. I like it, Itachi, you're not that bad yourself. I assume he took it well.
He temporarily trusts me. Of course, I have to establish our relationship again, which is tough given how I can't really reveal myself.
Don't worry, I'll figure something out for you.
Also, I think you should promote Shikamaru Nara. He has figured out Naruto's secret? No need to worry, he said hastily upon looking at the Hokage's alarmed face. Sasuke and Shikamaru don't see him differently. They've decided to play detectives, and have found something else. What is it? The sand is going to attack us. I think Orochimaru and the Kazakage are in this together.
The Sandaime sighed. He was getting really old. What are they going to do about this? Sandaime asked Itachi. Naruto and the other two. Playing detectives.
The Hokage smiled, and then lit up his pipe, taking a long drag and exhaling.
You know, this pipe is the reason Asuma is such a smoker, he said laughing.
I don't understand what you mean by that, Hokage-sama, Itachi said. I'm an old man, Itachi. No one will. Let them play detective, see how far they go. If you don't mind me asking, why is that?
Itachi, these three are the cream of the crop, the rookie 9, they're gonna be big names in their own right. The others are all talented, but these three are going to stand out, and I'm not gonna lie when I say this, but I think I'm gonna groom all three of them. One of them is a future Hokage, another is a commander, and another is an Anbu chief. What do you think? I think they can achieve those goals easily. Shikamaru might complain though. The Sandaime laughed again.
Like father, like son, Itachi, he said laughing.
So let me get this straight, you want to help me, why would you ever do that? Naruto asked his fellow Jinchuriki, who he had to admit, he was pleasantly surprised by. At first he had thought that she was cold, probably because of the way she was treated. He had seen Gaara, and he knew that the kind of treatment that the tailed beast hosts received was horrible, something that could already fuck you up psychologically. Naruto knew how bad it had gotten before it had all changed for him. He had thought that maybe the treatment that Yugito received had led her to detest connections with other people, but it seemed like that was not the case here. She seemed fine, a bit cold, but fine. Because you are like me, and I really like Konoha, she said to him. Naruto snorted when she heard that. She was being really facetious. He knew that if Kuma would help Konoha in this invasion, it would mean that the Hokage would owe the Raikage a favor. He wondered what kind of favor that was going to be, but he was not going to spend time thinking about it. He needed to hear out Yugito before he decided for himself what was to be done with her offer. You like Konoha? Naruto asked, almost jovially. Now that he thought about it, they were both tense, like a fight could burst out at any time, and there was no reason for them to be in any other stance. They were from separate villages, hadn't seen each other's faces before the Chunin exam had come around, they did not know each other at all, so he guessed that it made perfect sense for them to be so tense around each other. Yugito merely nodded in response to Naruto's question.
Yes, it's a wonderful place, the people are kind, and despite people finding that pathetic, I find that adorable, she said to him. Naruto couldn't believe her choice of words. It was almost as if they were not even trying to win him over towards an alliance. The dull tone with which the words were spoken made it perfectly clear that Yugito was laying out all her cards on the table. Naruto decided to call her out on it. Before you defend yourself, what would the Raikage like in return? Naruto asked her. Yugito smiled. She had obviously intended for the conversation to head in this direction.
An alliance, she said simply. Naruto nodded. It seemed like a good idea, but he wondered why now. What had happened that was so dangerous that Kumo needed an ally? It was clear that the militarization of Kumo had cost them some friends. The Second War had left Konoha and Kumo not so fond of each other. Iwa was pretty much distrustful of everyone else, and hated Konoha with a passion because of what his father had done. Mizu would have been a player, but they were too busy fighting some pathetic civil war. Suna was too poor to matter, too dependent on Konoha, too busy with invasion plans to bother Kumo, so what was it?
Why though? What could have possibly happened? He asked her. Nothing has happened, but Raikage-sama thinks it will. He's worried about Wawa. He seems to think an alliance is mutually beneficial. So what do you say? She asked him.
I say, you have to talk to the Hokage, why come to me? Naruto shot back. He had no position of power, after all he was a mere genin, participating in the Chunin exams, what could he possibly have to offer Yugito anyway? You're the weapon, aren't you? Yugito asked her smiling. I hear that you and Hokage-sama are very close, as a Jinchuriki and its cage often is, so your word would directly reach the Hokage, wouldn't it? She asked him. He seemed so busy. She continued, what with all the preparations for the Chunin exam, I hear that he is going to announce a successor, she said to him. Could that be you? Naruto laughed. This girl had some balls to ask him something like that. Even he was not really aware of Gigi's retirement, but he felt like it was about time and knew that it was going to come sometime soon. He wondered if it was going to be Pervy Sage or Kakashi-sensei who would take up the mantle, that he did not know yet. What disgusted him even more though, was how she referred to him as a weapon. She hadn't called him a he was an it. The thought that someone who had probably endured a life like he had could even say something that ridiculous disgusted him. I tell you, telling me all this is pointless, talking to me, telling me things that you aren't even supposed to know, but I don't really care. If you want to help, go talk to the Hokage. Leave, now, Naruto said, as commanding as he could be. If he was ever going to become Kage, he was going to have to work on that someday. Apparently Yugito sensed that about him, as her next comment would indicate.
If you weren't hopelessly underpowered, I'd even think you were someone I should take orders from. Naruto-sama, she said, sneer on her face. She was teasing him, or probably inviting some trouble. Wanting to see him angry. Just for the fun of it, maybe? Naruto decided to counter that by showing her how wrong she was about him, as he vanished as fast as he could, appearing behind Yugito with a knife around her neck, and his hand around her waist, holding a grip as tight as he could.
Somewhere, in some insignificant ninja manual of ninja rules, I read that one should never let their guard down around opponents they think are not powerful, because arrogance, not kanai, is the death of many a shinobi, Naruto said to her, a whisper, which made Yugito shiver, out of fear, or something else.
Naruto immediately slapped himself, realizing that that was a horrible thought to have about someone, and extremely perverted.
Okay, your point is well made. Would you mind releasing my waist? Yugito asked, wheezing. Naruto had a hard grip. Naruto decided that he was not done yet though, as he began groping her. It was probably a bad idea, as Yugito immediately overpowered him and slapped him, hard enough for him to fall back down on the ground. Funny, how you set out to anger me, and ended up getting angry yourself, Naruto said to Yugito, who realized what had just happened. And that stunt, Naruto continued, means that you are going to jail, assaulting a Konoha shinobi in his home, a travesty, Naruto said in mock anguish. Yugito was cursing herself internally at this point. This boy had outsmarted her. Obviously the information on him was outdated. She had no idea how someone could upset her so easily. There was something about Naruto that had thrown her off her game. She wondered what it was. Your breasts are the first set of breasts I've ever felt, Naruto continued, obviously having fun with the fact that Yugito was getting angrier by the second. Naruto had won this round. I'm sure you would love to see them, Yugito said, before she vanished in a puff of smoke.
Naruto was glad that she was not around to see him turn red with the implications of what she had said. He looked at the half-empty bottle of sake and decided to pour himself a glass, before promptly pouring another glass.
How do you know I was hiding? Even she did not sense it. Shikamaru asked him, emerging from outside the window. Naruto had to admit that Shikamaru was very good at hiding. He wondered if he had practice, hiding from everybody who asked him to do any kind of work. I have gotten used to it, Naruto said, smirking. Do you think she was genuine, Yugito? He asked Shikamaru.
Shikamaru nodded. I'll tell Sasuke, and I'm sure the formal alliance petition will be made at the Chunin exams.
Ah, yes, the exhibition match. People showing off the shinobi of their villages. He did not like it, but he understood its value as a major income source for the villages. It was the exploits of ninja here that would lead to an increase in hiring. You're right, but now I really have to go do it, Shikamaru said to him. Naruto raised his eyebrow at him.
Date with Temari, Shikamaru said to him as Naruto smirked. But before he could say anything, Shikamaru was gone. This time in a swirl of leaves. It's catching on, Naruto said, smiling, as he turned towards the sake bottle again. Yugito didn't really drink any of that sake. More for him.
Haku, I am sorry, Sasuke apologized. For him, making an apology was as difficult as beating Itachi with his hands tied behind his back. That much was clear, he had too much pride in him to do it, but he realized that if it was for anyone that he could swallow that pride of his, it was Haku.
Apology not accepted. You remind me of Zabuza-sama Haku, said her tone short. She was angry, probably hurt, and Sasuke realized that he deserved that. Ever since they had first met, for some reason, Sasuke had related to her, probably because of their tragic childhoods. He hadn't had eyes for any woman before her. He wished things were different, wished she was around before so that she could save him earlier. He wished he didn't have to deal with such complex emotions, wished everything was simple. But it wasn't.
Haku, I am sorry I was reckless, but don't you understand you can't like me if I am weak, he said to her, hoping that she could understand his reason for getting stronger, or maybe reasons, as he had multiple now, getting stronger than his brother, protecting his village, and impressing her.
Staying in the hospital had left Sasuke a lot to think about, and he realized that he could not just throw away all the sacrifices his brother had made to save their village. It was his job to defend the village as a shinobi. They had always looked out for him, and it was his duty to look after it. Sasuke realized as soon as he had decided to protect his village, that his path was much more clear. Maybe he was ready now.
You idiot, Haku said, almost screaming. He had never seen this much emotion come out of her before. You actually think if you're weak, I won't like you? She asked him. Do you take me to be as shallow as the other fangirls? She asked him. Before she could scream some more, Sasuke moved in to kiss her. It was his first kiss. He had had nightmares about accidentally kissing Naruto before, but he figured no one needed to know about that. Haku moaned as they deepened. Sasuke realized why the grown-ups did this so much, it felt so damn good. He wrapped his arms around her as they began roaming freely around her skin. Sasuke was reveling in everything, the way her skin felt so smooth, or the softness of the fabric she was wearing, or the throat that was being cleared. Wait, a throat was being cleared. And just like that, within a second, Haku was almost 10 feet away from him, face so red she could have been used as a tomato. He turned around as he observed the hooded robes of Itachi. His face was covered, so as not to let anyone else see him. No one knew about his heroism yet.
Sasuke-san, come, Itachi said, sounding as formal as he could. He flashed some fake ninja identification. Hokage-sama has summoned you.
Sasuke looked at Haku. She had a look of longing in her eyes. Sasuke could tell that he had one too. He held out his fist awkwardly, for a fist bump, before realizing that maybe that was not such a good idea. Haku looked at him. Her red face had turned purple as Sasuke wondered what emotion that was, before Itachi decided to play hero again and swoop Sasuke and flicker away. They landed outside some kind of temple. Sasuke realized this is the temple on their clan grounds. He remembered that his bodyguard had died here. He wondered if he was in on it, like everybody else. Before he could stop himself, he began vomiting. Itachi uncovered his face, looking sympathetic.
Your fist bump with that girl made me want to do that too, Itachi said to Sasuke, who just glared as defiantly as he could. But, getting serious, Sasuke, this is what I feel like doing these days? Vomiting at the horrible things I've done, he said to Sasuke, whose glare was replaced by something else, something that even he couldn't really define.
You did it, for the village. Sasuke said. There was a mixture of understanding and disgust in that sentence, and Itachi seemed to sense it, and his face was clearly telling Sasuke that he did not like the turn things were taking.
I hate myself. It's my fault that this even happened. I held on to the hope that father would reconsider, Itachi said to Sasuke. I don't care about him, what about mother? Was she in on it too? He asked Itachi. Itachi did not say anything. His silence said it all. Maybe things were clearly not what they seemed to be in their clan.
It's fine, we can rebuild our clan. Right? He asked Itachi, who smiled as he poked Sasuke on the forehead, like he used to when they were young.
You can. I don't have much time left in this world, he said to Sasuke, who paled.
I have an illness, Sasuke, incurable, it's taking me, slowly. My eyes, they're also going to go blind. I'm afraid this rebuilding thing is going to be something you do alone. All I can do is help you and set you on the right path, one of which has been done. Now, I train you to be like me, he said, sounding serious. Do you accept?
Sasuke nodded. He was angry at fate. But these were the cards that were dealt. He was going to use all the time that he had with his brother and surpass him. Shikamaru was troubled, and Temari was troublesome. His father had told him that all Nara men had a penchant of getting attracted to women that were troublesome. He could attest to that. His mom was one, and his dad was whipped. And now it seemed like he was whipped too, and they weren't even having sex to show for it. Shikamaru decided that such train of thought was detrimental for his good health, as the last thing he wanted was a mental image of his parents doing something nasty. He was, however, more concerned about the invasion, and Suna, especially the role Temari would play. He had suspicions as to what role her brother would play. Naruto had told them that he was also host to a demon, the one-tailed raccoon, and while one tail is far lesser than 9, Shikamaru hoped that he would not have to face any tail, ever.
He was meeting with Temari. They had beaten around the bush, and she hadn't exactly called this a date, but he knew what it was. He also knew that this was the night he was going to confront her. He reconsidered it. His feelings were getting in the way. It was unwise to show all his cards at once. Then he would have nothing to hold on to later. Maybe this was not the best time for it. If Temari was as treacherous as the plans her cage had for their village, then telling them anything would be dangerous and foolish.
So he decided to keep his mouth shut and just eat ice cream. This might be the last time he gets to do it with her anyway, as his training would begin in earnest tomorrow. He would be busy. Sasuke had been discharged and would continue looking into the invasion. Naruto had plans with Jiraiya of the Sannin, and he knew that whatever that was, it was too dangerous for normal people like him to try it. He smiled. Temari was talking, and he was ignoring her, his thoughts on different things, wondering what could have been if she was someone from his own village. Would they have gotten together sooner? Would they be happier? Would they be free from all the tension that they had built up in their systems? He was on edge, and here she was talking away, blabbering about something or the other, and he couldn't even pay attention. It was horrible. Sometimes he really wished he was a civilian. Shikamaru, Temari asked him, snapping him out of his thought. Her ice cream was done it. Shikamaru's had completely melted, and was forming a mess on the table. It might be too girly for her, but she hated messy tables, she had told him herself. Yeah, Shikamaru said, trying to sound lazy and bored, but instead managing to sound stiffer than a rock. Temari sensed that about him, and her face showed the worry she had, the tension she was going through. It was all so pathetic, them hiding things from each other.
You are going to be fighting me, Shikamaru, aren't you worried about that? We have to ignore our friendship, and concentrate on the match, do you hear me? She asked him. Shikamaru scowled, internally of course, as showing it on his face would only anger her. She spent a lot of time with her, talked to him like he was someone who needed to be babied, they even touched each other on the arms and shoulders, and not in a way that friends did it, and she had the gall to call this a friendship. He hadn't said much, he was too disgusted with everything that had happened up to this point. Shika, she said, in a tone that was not how friends spoke to each other as she reached out, and placed her hand on his, and squeezed. Something Choji, or Naruto had never done for him, because friends didn't hold hands and squeeze, they'd punch you on the shoulder, or something of that sort. He was getting angrier by the second, he had no idea what to do next. Let's have sex, Shikamaru blurted out. He realized that at that very moment, he had made a huge mistake, but he hoped this would be enough. If he had to fight her, he needed to keep himself away from her, and nothing more than a fight could help, and saying something unforgivable like that would work, would keep them apart. This needed to happen. He could tell that Temari was angry now, she was shaking with anger, her hand was no longer on her, it was behind her back, her posture much more stiff than it had been, she was hurt. It stung her. Shikamaru realized he needed to work on this some more.
I won't deny it, you are very attractive, and I am sexually attracted to you. So, let's have sex, he said to her. trying to sound flat, not pathetic about what he was trying to suggest, even though he did. Temari was so angry now that she did not even say anything, got up, and left.
Shikamaru groaned. Pushing people away was tough. Temari was angry. Shikamaru was onto her, and she knew it. He had asked her to have sex with him. Of course that would never happen, and he was smart enough to know that the reason this was even happening was because he was onto her plans, and he was trying to distance herself. It looked like she was angry at him, but really, she was angry at herself. She hated herself. Shikamaru deserved someone better anyway, so maybe she'd give up on it, just go her own way, go through with the invasion, and hopefully get killed in crossfire. She doubted her father would even care to mourn her death. Maybe Shikamaru could laugh at her gravestone as he'd pass by it every day with his wife and their kids.
She slapped herself mentally. She was overthinking things. There was no way Shikamaru would even have more than one kid. And there was no way she was going to die. She wanted him now. And she had always grown up getting what she wanted. And she would have him. Even if it meant cutting all ties with her village and betraying them, she'd do it. And that was why she was in front of the cage, this late at night.
She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to redeem herself. This would be the only way to do that.
Ah, Temari-san, the old man said, sitting at his desk. He looked really tired. And Temari wondered whether the rumors of him naming a successor at the exams had any truth to them, after all.
What brings you here? He asked her. She had not really said anything for the last few minutes she had been in his office. She turned around to look at pictures of the previous cages. There was the yellow flash, the first Hokage, of the wood release, and the equally fearsome second Hokage. She shivered as she looked at the Yondaime's picture though. He looked extremely similar to someone she knew, but she couldn't place a name to who that was. Are you going to say something? The cage asked her. The silence was getting uncomfortable now, and the tension in the air was palpable. Temari gulped and began talking. Rado, you idiot, what the hell have you done? Rado was pissed. He had destroyed the bridge like he had intended to, and it even looked like the man he had killed, that Tazuna person, had been on the brink of death. He hadn't finished the job. Aiwa had apologized to the water country for what they called a misunderstanding and were going to pay for the repair of the bridge, and a medical nin had been sent to help with Tazuna's recovery. At the moment though, it was Kitsuchi, who was a close aide of the Tsuchikage, who was yelling at him. The last thing we want is war with Konoha. They might look weak, but they have really strong ninjas who can decimate us. Are you out of your goddamn mind? He asked Rado, putting a hand on his shoulder and shaking him. Rado was seething, working as hard as he could to not show any sort of emotion on his face, something that seemed to be getting more difficult by the second. How dare this nobody tell him what was right, or what he wanted to do. Everything that mattered to him was gone with the yellow flash, and while that asshole was resting in hell, rumors of his son were going about. He could not let the offspring live. He has a son, Rado said, trying to make Kitsuchi understand. Kitsuchi groaned when he heard this. Many people in Aiwa had heard of rumors that the Yellow Flash had a son, and many had called for immediate war, but there was no possible way for anyone to prove that, not when the only thing that was definite was that the boy had blonde hair. There were some drawings of children in the wave, but nothing concrete to prove that there was a son that was running about.
Even if that rumor, Kitsuchi said, stressing on the word, was true, it would mean nothing at all. As we still wouldn't want a war with Konoha, he said. It's the Chichikage-sama's order that we do not go to war against Konoha, and that is final.
Rado now made no effort to show his anger now, as he let out a scream, that was angry, horrible, and sad at the same time, more like a wail. And what about my brother? My brother WHO was taken from me, what about him? Huh, Rado shouted as a shard of rock emerged from the ground beneath Kitsuchi, who shouted in alarm as he jumped away. The rock had still taken some of his skin, and Kitsuchi was now bleeding.
Rado, you just attacked a comrade, Kitsuchi said, his tone weary. What the hell is wrong with you? Get a hold of yourself, there is still time, I forgive you this one time, but you have to listen to me, he said, now almost pleading Rado to stop.
Rado did not say anything, except snorting at the pathetic words coming out of the man's mouth. He was tired, and sick, and if his cage was not going to authorize war on the leaf bastards, he'd have to do one himself.
I don't listen to you anymore, Kitsuchi. Raido said, sneering as another rock erupted from the ground, almost impaling Kitsuchi, who was much more prepared. Kitsuchi dodged expertly as Raido fired some mud balls at him, hoping to catch him so that he could slow down Kitsuchi long enough to make an escape. But before Kitsuchi could be hit, a wall erupted.
Rado recognized that as the earth wall jutsu that was one of Kitsuchi's signature moves. This worked out fine for him as he took the minute of lost cover and escaped.
He had cut off his ties for now, but when he would return with the head of the Yellow Flash's son, he'd be hailed as a hero. And that was all he could think of as he made his way towards Fire Country. Week before the third exam. Sasuke groaned. This training was going to be the end of him. The childhood memories of his brother being kind and supportive were replaced by the memories of a hard taskmaster, who was slave-driving Sasuke into giving up. Right at this moment, Sasuke was involved in a spar with Itachi. He was hiding behind a rock when he heard a swoosh, and peeked from behind the rock. A fireball was shooting towards him. Sasuke jumped out, dodging the fireball with an expression of alarm on his face.
I told you, Itachi's voice called out from somewhere in the vicinity, this time I would be going all out, and I'm doing just that, he said, before promptly shooting another fireball towards Sasuke. This time Sasuke was prepared though, as he countered the fireball with one of his own. The fireballs collided, there was blinding light, which Sasuke was prepared for, as he shot towards Itachi, prepared to take him from behind. The kunai was almost into Itachi's back before Itachi turned, at a speed that was incomprehensible to Sasuke's Sharingan eyes. Before he knew it, the kunai was out of his hands, and on the ground. Getting better at this, brother, Itachi said to Sasuke, before poking him on the forehead. Stop doing that, Sasuke said to him. He was still not used to the idea of his brother not being the monster he had been built up to be. He still had problems with him behaving like he used to around his little brother. Never, that's something I will always cherish as mine, Sasuke, the pleasure of seeing your face when you're poked in the forehead. Sasuke snorted, before picking up the fallen kunai. He then proceeded to head to a nearby rock and sharpen the kunai. Itachi followed him and sat next to him as he began sharpening the knife. Your teammate, how is he? Itachi asked Sasuke, who shrugged. Naruto had been gone with Jiraiya for a few days. Sasuke and Shikamaru had been tailing Yugito for the few days that Naruto was gone. Of course the trail was now gone cold. Yugito just hung out with her teammates and trained with them. He's been gone with Lord Jiraiya, he'll be okay though, he's stronger than all of us, Sasuke said to him. Itachi smiled, his brother had changed, even if he did not want to admit it. He had become more humble, being friends with Naruto was probably the best thing that could have happened to him. There is no jealousy in your voice, little brother, Itachi said to him. Sasuke nodded. That's because I'm not jealous. Naruto works as hard as I do. One day I hope to surpass him, Sasuke said to him. Itachi smiled at him. That's nice. I suppose you should begin now, Itachi said as he threw a kunai that just missed Sasuke by a hair.
This was going to be a long week.
Naruto, the second sage. 3 weeks before the third exam. Land of Waves had become a whole new place after Naruto left it. He had come back to see more prosperity. Of course, there was doom and gloom right now, as the bridge was still being repaired. Tazuna was still in a critical, but safe condition at the hospital. Naruto decided to pay Tazuna a visit after he heard about what happened at the bridge. He was pissed at whoever it was that had destroyed the bridge, but he was going to find out, and hopefully administer a little justice to the person who was responsible for putting Tazuna in danger. Naruto was also here because he realized that he needed to train away from the prying eyes of the village, and this was one place he could train, so he had taken permission from his godfather, and come here to train. He had his sealing books with him. He had gotten into the more advanced stages of sealing, and to his delight, he seemed to be excelling at it with minimal effort, something his godfather attributed to the Uzumaki in him.
From what Tazuna had told him in the few hours he had been awake, it was a missing nin from Iwa. The apology that the Land of the Waves received from Earth Country also did not disclose who it was exactly that attacked and destroyed the bridge.
Naruto grit his teeth as he punched a large boulder, which instantly split into two. He could feel eyes on him from a distance. It was the fangirls again. He was sick of them. Ever since the villagers found out that the hero was back, he was constantly hounded by them. Naruto sighed as he heard them cheering him on, asking him to punch a mountain next, others just looking at him with eyes that were full of lust.
Naruto even considered taking advantage of one of them, or maybe all of them, or maybe all of them at once in a giant orgy. He then slapped himself for allowing that nasty pervert of his godfather to corrupt him.
Despite the fact that Tazuna was attacked and Naruto was worried about his safety, there was another person he was more worried about, and that was Hinata. He had seen the treatment she received from her own father and sister, and her cousin Neji, who seemed to have a stick up his ass. Naruto punched another boulder in anger. He was going to rip that stick out of Neji's ass, and he was going to humiliate him, teach him a lesson, pay him back in kind. If only the stupid fangirls ever went away.
One day before the third exam,
Sakura and Shikamaru were staring at the dead body of Zaku, who was supposed to be in the exam with them, facing Gaara. What the hell happened here? Sakura asked Shikamaru. Shikamaru shook his head, indicating that he did not know what happened, but the fact was that he knew exactly what happened. A certain Jinchuriki was satisfying his bloodlust. Gaara was too strong to be stopped by him, or any other genin, which is why he was the person to beat in this exam. The only person who could match him strength-wise was Naruto, and Shikamaru was worried. He had been gone from the village for a while now. He only hoped Naruto would come back in time. As he stood there, thinking about tomorrow's exam, the ninjas of the leaf came up from behind them. Sakura reported to the Anbu captain Yugao Azuki, whose boyfriend Hayate was found critically injured and had been taken back to the hospital just in time to be saved. He was going to be bedridden for a long time either way. Are you ready for the exams, Shikamaru? Sakura asked him after they were away from the chaos of the scene. It was clear that Sakura seemed a bit shook up with the whole thing. I might be. I have to fight Temari. She's strong, Shikamaru said, not in a very talking mood at that moment. Well, how do you feel about facing her? Are you prepared for this? She asked him. Ever since Ino and Sakura had resumed their friendship, they had taken to telling each other everything, which meant that the relationship Temari and Shikamaru had become a major talking point for both of them. I don't want you to get hurt, Sakura said when she realized that Shikamaru had stopped talking to her and was just walking alongside her.
Thanks for your concern, Shikamaru said curtly before leaving. Maybe he could get a game of shogi with his dad to warm up his mind for the exam tomorrow. After all, it was his strongest asset.
He had decided to set the feelings he had for Temari to one side and concentrate on the invasion. He was sure now that Gaara was going to be forced into attacking the village in his tailed beast form, which would then set off the invasion and the countries would pounce in an attempt to take over the strongest hidden village of them all.
The fact that Temari was involved in this at all sickened Shikamaru to the very bone. But it was not like he had much of a choice. He could do nothing to Temari and turn his back on the village. Or the girl he liked could get hurt. Maybe even killed if not tortured for information later on. Sake would be a really good idea at this point.
1 hour before the exam.
Hayashi Hyuga stared at an old photograph. A man like him, at his now rapidly advancing age, realized that he had been doing that an awful lot lately. Looking at pictures of his daughters, of his now dead wife, of his parents, of his twin brother, the one that died needlessly. Fate was a funny thing. Hiyashi was older by a minute. Certainly not more than that. And yet that 1 minute later proved to be the difference between life and death for him. In the long run, it perhaps had a more profound impact on the already fragile nature of his clan than he could have ever imagined. The branch house was not happy when Hizashi was killed. As to them, Hizashi was the hero that stood up to the main overlords and proved to them that the branch was not something to be taken lightly, and sending Hizashi's dead body to Kumo had been a giant fuck you to the branch family.
Greater than the discontent for the main branch that the branch house were harboring was the hatred for it that was in the heart of one Neji Hyuga. His nephew, a prodigy in every sense of the word. Hiyashi was an honest person, he loved his daughter, but she was more like her mother than he liked, kind, caring, strong yes, but more kind than strong, not cynical enough to run the house. Hanabi was better suited to run the clan as she took more after her father, but Hinata was just like a kind nurse, always willing to help the helpless, someone who shunned the Hyuga pride and decided that she needed to be respected for more than her last name.
Hayashi admired her. She was braver than people gave her credit for. His love for his older daughter was so much that he did not have the heart to name an heir yet. Something that was now coming back to bite him in the form of the clan elders pushing for him to name an heir already. And the sound beating that she had received at the hands of Neji, who was probably looking for an excuse to humiliate her, had not helped one bit. He was outraged when he saw his daughter, weak, spitting blood. The elders had even wanted to punish Neji, but he had stopped them from doing so. He had realized that Neji was just taking out years of pent-out anger, and that he needed to be dealt with in another way.
His opponent was even more of an enigma. Not many people knew about what he could do, but he had begun hearing great things about Uzumaki, things like how he helped take down bandits. It was small, but the number of people who respected the blonde-haired kid were growing. He had heard about Tsuneo Hattori, one of his most vocal haters, doing a complete 180 for unknown reasons and allowing him in his establishments. Maybe things were looking up for the lonely kid. No matter how reputable Hiyashi thought Naruto was, it was not going to help him against Neji. Neji was an unparalleled genius, someone who could not be beaten by a genin. By his own estimations, Neji was already a chunin, and was going to win the entire contest. As Hiyashi Hyuga entered the chunin exam stadium, he had not an inkling of how wrong he was going to be.
Naruto versus Neji.
Naruto had arrived at the stadium a mere 5 minutes ago, had barely any time for pleasantries with his friends before he was thrust into the proceedings, finding himself in front of a roaring crowd of at least 2,000 people, most of them civilians, some of them who were ninjas in disguise, no doubt, prepared to deal with the invasion.
Naruto had heard that someone had told them everything that was going to happen. He wondered who the source was, but after the invasion, the source was going to be taken by Konoha, and become an official asset of the village hidden in the leaves. He could see Sasuke in the crowd, sitting beside what was a very handsome man that was being stared at continuously by every single female in the vicinity. This was Itachi, no doubt. He could see the exasperation on Sasuke's face. Perhaps for the first time, someone better looking than him was stealing the attention away from him. Beside Sasuke was Haku. They were talking to each other. Maybe it was about sex or whatever it is couples did.
Sakura was cheering him on. Ino had pom-poms with her, which she had probably brought on for Shikamaru. He was pleasantly surprised to hear more cheers for him. Some villagers he had won over by helping them out at various things during D-ranks and the like.
Neji stared at him, impassive, but for Naruto he was boiling over with rage. Neji had antagonized him every single time they had met, telling him how he would never amount to anything, and now he had harmed Hinata, probably the kindest of all his friends. Neji sneered at Naruto's rage.
"You are a loser. Fate has declared you a loser, you dead last asshole," Neji said, smiling. Naruto grit his teeth.
"Start the match," he said to Hayate Gecko, the proctor, who nodded before saying, "Hajime."
Nothing happened. Many a great ninja's battles began the same way, with both men standing still. Naruto was waiting for Neji to come to him, while Neji was waiting for Naruto to come to him.
"Give up already," Uzumaki Neji said to him. "You are trash. The reason you are mistreated by the village is because you are trash. You will never be able to become anything. Your hopes and dreams are useless," Neji said, taunting Naruto. The taunt seemed to have done the trick, because Naruto set off running towards the Hyuga, who smiled. However, as Sasuke, Sakura, or Kakashi would tell anyone, Naruto was running too slow, and this was proved right when he up and vanished from view. Neji looked around, getting more frantic by the second. There was no sight of Naruto anywhere, and then, all of a sudden, Naruto materialized in front of him and punched him straight in the face. Had Neji not turned away at the last second, the match would have been over then and there, but a timely turn of the head saved him. The eyes of almost everyone in the audience widened as they stared at Naruto and his speed. He was fast enough to vanish from the naked eye's vision and stay that way for a prolonged period of time. Back on the ground, Naruto stared at Neji, deciding he was going to throw in a taunt of his own. "Neji, you have great eyes, right? Why don't you use them?" he asked, his voice mocking. Neji grit his teeth as he activated the Baikugan. The veins and nerves around his eyes became more pronounced. "I thought I would have some fun with you, but you have pissed me off now. You're done," Neji said as he dashed towards Naruto, who seemed to freeze as Neji closed up on him, before unleashing his rapid palm strikes.
8 trigrams, Neji yelled as he began a flurry of strikes, each getting faster than the other. Naruto was having trouble keeping up, something that surprised Kakashi and Sasuke up in the stands. Naruto had shown them how fast he was in all-out spars, and this was not it. He was much faster, and obviously capable of blocking or dodging Neji's move.
As Neji finished landing 64 shots, Naruto fell down, seemingly defeated. Neji turned to the proctor. "Call the match," he said to him, and Hayate was about to oblige, but Naruto got up.
Neji watched Naruto struggle to get up and groaned mentally. "Why?" he asked Naruto, yelling. "Why do you rise? Stay down, you piece of shit," he shouted. Naruto's friends in the stands were looking at Neji with a mixture of loathing and awe. "Neji," Naruto stuttered, the palm strikes not helping. "I know what happened with your dad," he said to him. "But I've had it way harder than you." Neji's eyes widened. Naruto ignored him as he began readying himself to charge. "I've been shunned, ignored, hated all my life, and I don't cry like a bitch," Naruto said. Neji just charged towards him, intent on finishing the match by striking his heart.
"So, don't complain about fate," Naruto said, just as Neji struck him in the heart. The entire stadium watched transfixed, waiting for something to happen. Bated breath, it seemed like everyone in the stadium had decided to breathe in at the same time. It was so silent you could hear a pin drop.
Naruto smiled at Neji, whose palm was firmly on Naruto's heart. Naruto's nonchalance seemed to rub Neji the wrong way, but before he could say anything, Naruto said it all.
Boom. The explosion that rocked the center of the stadium had the entire crowd covering their ears. It took a while for the smoke to be cleared, but when it did, it was clear that Naruto was nowhere to be found. Neji was holding one arm. He had managed to use the Hyuga defense to save his life, but his arms were shot. Figure jumped out from the audience and ripped out his traveling cloak, revealing himself to be Naruto. In the competitor's box, everyone stared at Naruto in shock.
"What the hell?" Sasuke asked Sakura. "He was a clone this whole time." Sakura nodded, amazed at the things his teammate could do.
"Thanks," Neji Naruto said to him. "You gave me all I needed." He vanished from plain view.
Neji looked around, but couldn't find him. Even his eyes weren't helping. Naruto suddenly materialized in front of him, before punching him in the eye. Suddenly Naruto unleashed a flurry of punches aimed right at his eyes, faster than Neji, greater in number than him too.
It was not long before Neji began feeling the pain get to him. One of his eyes were completely shut off. The other was on the verge of shutting off. His face had swollen to an abnormal size.
"You seem to like your eyes, right?" Naruto asked, almost sadistically. "Let's see you enjoy fighting without them." "Without my eyes, I am just a sitting duck," Neji thought, helpless. Naruto just stared at him. Neji looked like a kid who was just separated from his mother, not able to think, not able to do anything productive, his head frantically moving from right to left.
"You seem to be a firm believer in fate, don't you?" Naruto asked him. Neji remained silent. His head had turned itself to the general direction from which Naruto's sound seemed to appear. "Well, now this is punishment. I will write your fate myself," Naruto said as he held up his right arm, and a blue ball of chakra began forming.
In the stands, Several shinobi expressed their surprise at what Naruto was doing. Most of them had recognized it as the fourth prize jutsu, Rasengan.
Your fate, Naruto said as he broke into a run towards Neji, is defeat. Blind as he may be, Neji was still not out. As soon as he heard the footsteps coming close to him, he spun. It was the legendary defense of the Hyuga clan, the chitin which no branch member had ever perfected. Naruto smirked. Neji was not used to closing his eyes in a fight, and had misjudged his location. He patiently waited for Neji to stop spinning.
It was a whole 2 minutes before that happened, but as soon as it did, Naruto slammed the Rasengan in Neji's stomach, making sure that he did not penetrate too deep. Neji was knocked out instantly. As Naruto was announced the winner, his arms raised, people cheering on his awesome display, all he could see was one person who seemed to look at him with blood on his mind.